What's up, folks? I'm Private Hudson, and this is The Black Masses. Yeah, they didn't put a logo on the title screen for some sort of reason. This is an open-world zombie survival RPG that's in early access on Steam right now. I know what you're thinking, but trust me, this one is different. This isn't your typical dime a dozen early access survival games where you pick up a rock and punch a tree to get some sticks and make an axe and then build a house and so on and so forth. No. This here is a single-player experience with a story and quests, although, in my opinion, they're pretty bad. Some people say this is a mix of Skyrim and Dying Light. I'll agree that it's like Skyrim due to the medieval setting, the leveling system, and the plethora of bugs. Regarding the comparison to Dying Light, the game does have parkour elements. But the real reason that I bought this game was because the trailer on the store page had a sequence where you're fighting like 1,000 zombies alongside a bunch of knights. That sold me. That's all I needed to see. I've never been sold on a game based on a trailer before until now. I'm happy to report that the sequence is present in the current build of the game. Does it play out as it does in the trailer? Well...
I've been waiting for this my whole life. Off with the heads. I'm gonna cut you. Charge the attack. Roar.
I'll show you more of this later. Trust me, it's worth it. It's comedy gold. The Black Masses is an impressive game because it does feature hundreds of zombies on screen. I put 21 hours into the current early access build, which is at version 0.1, and I loved every second of it. Partially because I had a lot of fun killing hordes of zombies, but also because this game brought me to tears with laughter, because it's just so broken. I wish I had recorded some of what I'm about to say, but I had no idea that some of these things would happen. So the story of what little there currently is you're some dude who gets shipwrecked on an island that's infested with zombies. A spirit saves you and tells you that the island is cursed, and the only way to save it is to gather his body parts, which are currently being guarded by demons in several towers. 4 of these towers are currently accessible, and for the first tower, the demon fell off and I was able to get the body part easily. For the second one, I ran in, grabbed the part, and dipped. For the third tower, one of the demons knocked me off and I died, but you respawn in this game with no penalties at your last save point, which for me was a town nearby. And once I started approaching the tower again, all the demons there were at the bottom of the mountain, and I was just able to kill them easily, get back inside the tower, and get the body part. For the fourth tower, which is guarded by thousands and thousands and thousands of zombies, I was able to glitch through the map into the room with the demon boss, kill him, and get the part, completely bypassing the entire horde. I wish I had that bit recorded because I was laughing my ass off. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. If you want to see just how glitchy and exploitable the terrain is, please check out Ziggy the Adventurer on YouTube. He does a speedrun of this game every time a new patch is released and glitches his way to completion. It's brilliant. Alright, so let's rewind a bit. So the game has been getting released in chunks. When it first launched in March 2020, there was only content leading up to the first tower. With the next content patch, they released the second tower, and so on and so forth. Currently there are 4 towers, and the last content patch added the city of Midridge. Beginning of the game, which is the lead up to the first tower, is the most structured, guided, and has the most amount of storytelling. Wake up on a shore and the game gives you a little tutorial. You get your first weapon, which is a boat paddle. Tapping left click has you do a quick light attack, holding it down has you charge up a heavy attack, and holding down the middle mouse button blocks. You make your way to a town that is overrun by zombies, just like the rest of the island, but you find a priest and a church. Churches are safe zones. If you die, you respawn in the last safe zone that you were in. Don't lose any items or experience, but if you were out on a very long journey and got killed, well, then you get teleported back to the last church. You also get a teleport spell, which allows you to travel to any church or safe zone that you've previously been to. The priest has you look for some survivors. The nearby castle is overrun with a horde outside. He has you do a couple of things for him, and there are a few side quests along the way. One of them gets you the old family axe, and if you see me using this weapon for a good portion of this section, that's because I did not find a better weapon until I reached the city with the second tower. You see, the loot system in this game is garbage. Some weapons are set to spawn in specific areas. If you don't get them there, then you won't find them anywhere else. Instead, you'll find just basic garbage weapons. You're not going to find upgrades unless you go out to other areas of the world map, and that sucks. I didn't know what I was doing at the start, so I was picking up everything, thinking I'd find a merchant somewhere and offload all my crap to him. Don't do that. There are no merchants, and there's no reason to pick up multiple versions of the same weapon. They're identical. Speaking of equipment, there's no armor, however, there are consumables and throwables. Food is garbage. It does a tiny amount of healing, it's not worth picking up, it just clutters up your inventory. Grab potions, crossbow bolts, and repair kits. For throwables, you get grenades and molotovs, which are both great, and throwing knives, which are junk. And here's the skill tree. It's split into agility, strength, and endurance. You gain general points into agility by using ranged weapons, strength by using melee ones, and endurance by getting your ass kicked. Once you've gained a certain number of basic points into the tree, you can then put your skill points in and develop your character further. The current level cap is 60. The agility tree has both parkour and ranged abilities, however, ranged weapons in this game suck. There's only one crossbow and a couple of guns that all share the same identical skin. They're very weak and their skills are also equally weak. I didn't go deep into this tree, so the only skills I unlocked were a spread shot and an explosive shot. With strength, you can either specialize in one-handed or two-handed weapons. Since I didn't know what the hell I was doing or what weapons were good, I picked both. You unlock powerful skills here, including a 360-degree fire spin attack that carries you for the entire game. Other perks here include more damage, faster attack speed, increased critical chance, etc. And with endurance, you get tougher. You gain more health, you gain more regen, more stamina, knockback protection, and so forth. Dark Arts is the one that gives you the teleport ability and gives you lifesteal too. The skill tree is incomplete, there are placeholders, things are under construction, and by the way, there's currently no way to respec your character. Combat is stupidly simple, but enjoyable at the same time. I love the gore, the carnage, and the simplicity of it. Mowing down hundreds of zombies kind of reminds me of Dynasty Warriors, and I love the orchestral soundtrack here. Following the main questline eventually gets you to the city of Kirkwall. I got here by going through a dark and spooky cave, and of course was met with a horde of zombies right outside the city. Moments like this are tense and are fun as you need to figure out a way to maneuver across the rooftops to get past these hordes. After all, if you get killed, then you respawn all the way back where you started and you have to start on this journey to Kirkwall all over again. Once I got to the priest in Kirkwall, I was safe. Now I could do whatever I want. If I get killed, I just respawn here. He mentions how they have this huge army outside. Where exactly? And they're getting ready to storm the tower. I'm supposed to speak to the commanding officer there. Again, I don't see any army here. He wants me to go to the cave, the same one that I came from, to get a scepter or a mace or something like that, which conveniently wasn't there when I was there, but now spawns after you talk to him. Getting that item and bringing it back to him starts the greatest sequence in gaming history. This is the stuff from the trailer. This is that sequence. The knights get stuck behind each other trying to funnel through a door. It's hilarious. I couldn't stop laughing. Once they finally get through the door, you're in for a broken, hilarious, but enjoyable treat as the Legion of Knights advances towards the tower and fights a massive horde of undead. There are plenty of additional bottlenecks along the way where the knights continue to get stuck, but when you're finally out in an open field, this sequence becomes kind of awesome. The knights can get killed, so if you want to get to the tower in one piece, it's in your best interest to fight alongside with them. And this part was a bit tough. If I got low on health or stamina, I pulled back to rest up a bit and pop a potion. Now this sequence lasts a long time. The devs must have really been proud of this because it goes on for 20 minutes. And the whole time you hear the same "Charge them men" line. It's the most beautiful thing in the world. When I finally got to the tower, of course the knights just got stuck outside and I was forced to enter it alone, deal with the zombies inside and climb it myself. And by climb, I mean climb. All of a sudden, the game becomes Assassin's Creed. This is one of the worst parts of the game as you don't have any guidance on which way to go. Yeah, falling off will kill you, but thankfully, there's a save point inside the tower. After the demon fell off and I grabbed the spirit's body part, you head back to Kirkwall, and there's a tense quest of defending the city single-handedly. What happened to all those knights that were just with me? Can't they help? There are a ton of zombies and you need to rebuild barricades, close the city gates, mop up the zombies in certain areas. Ultimately, nothing that you do matters. Sure, you complete the quest and it's necessary to do so to advance the story, but there are no NPCs in Kirkwall other than the priest. There will always be zombies inside the city anyway, and while you may mop up the horde inside if you quit the game, launch it back up and reload your save, all the hordes, all the zombies, respawn. Speaking of which, hordes do not randomly generate, they exist in specific areas of the map. You can wipe them out, and they'll stay wiped out for the duration of your current playthrough, but again, if you quit, load up your save again, they will all respawn. And in case you haven't noticed, there's no variety when it comes to the zombies. You have regular ones and you have zombie knights. Alone, they're pretty slow and can be avoided, but when around 10 or so get grouped up, they get into a frenzy, and that's when you need to get to some high ground. Thankfully, they can't open doors either. After the defense of Kirkwall, the storytelling ends. You might come across a side quest or two, but the rest of the game is just going to the remaining towers. You're not going to find any additional NPCs until the very last city. It's a shocking change. What's even more shocking is that each additional area that they've added to the game is more architecturally advanced, better designed, and more polished. But they've never gone back to the previous areas to touch them up. Cheesing the boss of the first tower by having him fall off has been like that since this game came out in early access in March 2020. That was never changed, it was never fixed. It's such a baffling way to design a game. Let's add more complicated and advanced areas to the game, but let's never go back to the previous ones to improve them. Let's just look at the second tower here, which takes place in the city of Perth. There's a church here which is a safe zone, but there's no priest. This city is gorgeous compared to the stuff we've seen in the first section of the game. I also love how the tower here sits at the edge of the city. It gives an ominous, imposing feel. Perth is also where I finally found my first weapon upgrades. That's right, I spent maybe 8 hours using the old family axe. Finally, I found a better weapon. The Perth Tower doesn't have a stupid parkour section. but does have some columns you need to balance on to get to the top. Now, these demons are super strong and are twice your level, so I have no idea how the game expects you to fight them. Well, I didn't. I just grabbed the body part, which completes the quest, and jumped down to my death. I respawned at the same church in Perth, and the quest was complete. Again, bizarre game design. Perth is also where I figured out how you're supposed to play the game. Sit on top of a fence so that zombies can't reach you, and just crouch and attack them to farm up XP. This is how I farmed up levels and played through the rest of the game. There's no way to realistically combat the hordes otherwise. Individual zombies, sure, but hordes? This is the only way. After Perth, I stopped by a town called Ryerfall. Not because I had to, but because I genuinely enjoyed exploring the game. Yes, you're not gonna find anything other than food, ammo, repair kits, potions, grenades, and common weapons, but I still loved the experience of walking around the map through the various towns and cities, and checking to see if they had a church or not. Ryerfall did have a church, which of course is a safe zone, and I found a new axe. Look at that. No upgrades in the first 8 hours of the game that I spent, but the second I get to Perth, I find an upgrade, and then I get another by stopping by Ryerfall. Ryerfall is odd because I believe the developers added this town at the same time as they added Perth. However, the interior of almost every single building is empty. Again, I'm gonna bring up the weird game design logic these devs have. Since adding Ryerfall, they've added more complicated looking towns with more depth to them. But they never went back to add furniture here. I'm confused. And I continue to explore. I went to a place called Lion's Ridge. I found another safe zone in Ernwick, and in case you're curious, here's the current map of the game. I haven't even found all the safe zones, as you can see. I'm missing pretty much all the ones in the southwest. The map it's enormous. It's absolutely huge, but content-wise, it's sadly barren. Unfortunately, I don't have any footage recorded of the third and fourth towers other than the one of the demon knocking me off the third one, because I did not expect to successfully cheese them the way I did. So we're gonna skip that portion of the game. Instead, we're gonna go off to the newest and most impressive section of the game, the enormous city of Midridge. Getting to the center safe zone here was exhilarating, as any wrong move would get me killed and send me way back to, I think the town is called Davenport or something like that. The zombies here are all high level and good parkour skills are necessary. Midridge adds a new NPC as well as a few additional quests. Again, just an odd way to develop the game. I understand it's early access, but let's have everything in between Kirkwall and Midridge be empty and have no NPCs. Let's have the town of Ryerfall have empty houses but have a weapon upgrade. Midridge introduces a few new demon enemy types too, but completing the questline here brings you to the end of the current version of the game. I assume the next content patch will take place on the island north of Midridge. The bridge to it is swarmed with high-level demons that kill you in one hit, but that didn't stop me from trying to cross it anyway. Pro tip, you can't cross it, but you can farm up some levels since the demons are high level and the safe zone is right there next to the bridge. I was really sad when I reached the end. I still played for a bit just so that I could hit the level cap. The Black Masses has ton of issues, as you can see. It's buggy, glitchy, and barren in many areas. For an RPG, loot is non-existent except for a few specific locations where certain OP weapons are guaranteed to spawn. Like that divine sword that I'm using, you can only find that in one place. It only spawns there. Zombie types are limited. Your weapon attack animations are identical regardless of what weapon you're using. Sword, axe, mace, it's all the same animation. Guns all share the same skin, there's only one crossbow, and ranged weapons are weak in general. Performance is another issue. This game runs like absolute garbage, and changing the settings from ultra to potato quality does little to change the frame rate. That's why this review is at 30 FPS instead of my usual 60. It also really heats up the CPU. As you can see in this clip, I'm standing outside the church in Kirkwall with nothing going on. On Ultra, I'm getting maybe around 62 FPS, while switching over to Potato gets me 72. Everything in between is around 70-ish. For my playthrough, I stuck with very high settings since there's no difference in performance between Potato and very high settings. During combat, the frame rate would drop to the low 40s. Take note of the CPU and GPU usage. They're both low. Keep in mind that I'm using an AMD 3900X CPU, 32 gigs of RAM, and an RTX 3090. Yes, an RTX 3090, and this is how the game runs on such hardware. Multiple threads about this have been brought up on the Steam forums. Some have been locked. When I brought up my issues, I was told I have a CPU bottleneck. Meanwhile, their system requirements list vastly weaker CPUs than my 3900X. Oh, and it's not just the frame rate, this game is a stuttery mess. Even when installed on an NVMe SSD, it stutters all the time. Also, I am someone who is very sensitive to inconsistent frame rates and stutters. The fact that I was able to tolerate these issues for the 20 or so hours I put into this game is a miracle, but also shows just how much I actually enjoyed it. Now you might be saying, hey man, this game is still in early access, give it a chance, let them update it, optimize it some more. Well, that's the other problem here. It's May 2022. All the footage in this video was recorded in November and December 2021. Why? Because the last content patch came out in September 2021. No new updates or patches have been released since then. Why is that? Because this tiny development team of 4 people, in their infinite wisdom, decided it would be a good idea to work on 2 early access games at the same time, with the other one being Ultimate Epic Battle Simulator 2. And that one has always had priority over this project. And the devs have announced that the Black Masses hasn't even been financially successful for them. As a result, development of this game is now, sadly, on hold. So no, I'm not expecting any further optimization. I'm not even expecting them to finish this game. With that being said, even if the game gets abandoned and is left in the state that it's currently in, I would not be mad. Again, I've put in 21 hours and I've had an absolute blast. There's nothing else out there that's like it. Nothing else has so many zombies on screen, and nothing else is as hilariously and unintentionally broken as this. I bought this game on sale for around $7, and I definitely got my money's worth. Otherwise, it's $20 full price. As for you, dear viewer, well, only you can decide if an ambitious yet broken game with an uncertain future is worth your money. Anyway, folks, if you enjoyed this video, please be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. I'm Private Hudson. I'm signing out. I'll see you folks next time.